And Supervisor Stika, the meeting is live. We're still about a minute out, but you're welcome to take us live as soon as we get to 6 p.m.
Good evening and welcome to the, hang on a second here. Good evening and welcome to the August 18th regular meeting, done virtually, of the Meridian Township Board. And we will now do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
The United States of
of
America,
and to the republic for which it stands,
on one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We now call the roll, Mr. Clerk.
Supervisor Stika.
I am here.
Dreyfus is present. Treasurer DeShane.
Present.
Trustee Jackson.
Here.
Trustee Opsmer.
Here.
Trustee Sunland. Trustee Sunland.
She's here, but she's mute.
Unmute. Here.
Trustee Wazinski.
Here.
All members are present.
Thank you, Mr. Dreyfus. All right, we will now go on to, while we have no presentations this evening, so we'll go on to citizens addressing agenda and non-agenda items. Mr. Geebies, is there anyone online or out there that wants to talk?
There are no one's called into 517-349-1232 yet, but of course, if you wish to participate by telephone, you can. Otherwise, if you wish to raise your hand inside the Zoom meeting itself, if you raise your hand, we'll promote you to be able to speak. We have no comments at this time, sir.
Okay, I'll give it another minute by mentioning that if you do want to comment, you have two chances now, and the other one is near the end of the meeting. You have 3 minutes to speak at either one or both. And we look forward to hearing good comments that relate to our subject matter more than anything else. So anyone out there yet, Mr. Geebies? Sounds like not. Okay. We will now go on to the Township Manager's Report. Mr. Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor and Board. A few updates for you this evening. First of all, the Marketplace on the Green project is nearing completion. One of the struggles we're having in trying to identify our ribbon cutting date is the orders on the number of people that can organize at one point and being together at one time right now under the governor's orders. So with that being 100, I've also heard today that it may be going to 25 by INGHAM County. I don't know to verify that, but that's what I was told about today. So working with Director Maisner and of course the Parks Commission, and we'll find out how that's going to go forward, but it's an exciting time certainly to drive by. Our local roads project is about 70% of the way complete. Certainly there are more roads to be completed. It's been a really good summer for the project. We've had very few complaints, and we appreciate everyone's patience as we try to improve 26 miles of roads in the township. The large dog park, the fencing is going up. That's across from across from the Marketplace on Central Park Drive. If you haven't been out to the Harris Nature Center lately, you might want to stop out and see the new pavilion and restroom project that's going up there. As you know, we're totally engrossed in the budget right now. For the residents that are listening, the board is certainly aware of this, but we're in a calendar year, and by state law, the township charter the budget must be delivered to the board 120 days from the end of the fiscal year. So that means the budget needs to be in your hands by around August 31st. and we will provide you with the document on that day. For those that want to follow the budget process, the public hearing will be held on September 15th. And then budget deliberation from the board on September 22nd, both starting at 6 o'clock. The difficulty that we're having with this year's budget are three things. State revenue sharing is expected to be at least $300,000 less, according to the state. Our drain projects are up nearly $300,000 at $275,000, and our pension costs are up $600,000. They don't have to be up $600,000, but they are if we want to follow the 5.35 rate of return model that's provided to us by MERS. If we use the 7.35, it's quite a bit less, although that's a pretty rosy calculation on behalf of MERS. Some things we're trying to identify in the budget this year as we move forward. We want to keep our commitment to roads, to solar, to diversity, equity, and inclusion, to the purchase of the ladder truck. We're in our 4th year since the millage. We made a commitment to buy the ladder truck after the 4th year, expanding our emergency siren program, meeting our actual required contribution for retiree health care and pension that we both the Penn Township pension and the MERS pension, celebrate Meridian IT upgrades and the redevelopment fund. All those things we're trying to figure out a way to fund in this year's budget, giving the aforementioned reductions in revenue that I just covered. On a somber note, we received a call today from the president's office at Michigan State University, and there will be no students welcomed on campus this fall. And so that's, a huge effect on the students, number one, and also an effect on our local economy as well. And finally, I would close with the Director of Economic Development position, of course, is open. Mr. Deputy Manager Perry and our Human Resources Director, Abby Tehoff, have given a lot of thought to how to move forward with this. And we've taken a pause, actually. And one of the things that we're contemplating right now is changing that title to Director of Neighborhoods and Economic Development. And it's splitting this job in between of let's not just go out and try to filling vacant buildings is critical right now with what's going on with the pandemic, but also let's spend as much time with our 90 neighborhoods that we have and increasing our connectivity with our neighborhoods across the community. So that's one of the things that we're looking at as we put this position out there. Again, the Director of Neighborhoods and Economic Development. And certainly there will be more information to follow, but that's something that we're looking at. That concludes my report from what's going on with roads and the parks to our budget and our local economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now we come to our board member reports of activities and announcements. Board members, anything in the last couple of weeks? Treasurer DeShane.
Thank you, Supervisor. Quicker report this time. I attended just one meeting in the past 12 days. It was the Land Preservation Advisory Board meeting last Thursday evening at the invitation of the advisory board and Trustee Opsner in particular. They had some questions as to where the millions we hold in land preservation funds, how they're invested, what the rate of return is it possible to get more return on them? Fair questions. I provided them with a pretty comprehensive analysis of where the money is and how it's invested, and took away from it some good sharing back and forth with them on our investments for land preservation. The other thing I'd like to insert here as the election commissioner, the minutes from the last meeting did not include the election results. And I would just like to add, as election commissioner, to add the following document to our minutes for this meeting. If I can share a screen, I can share that document with the board.
Mr. Gabies, did you hear that?
Affirmative.
Okay, and here's the document. Just it has the results for each of the township offices and the return. We don't have great newspaper coverage of our elections anymore. And in some ways, the archive on election returns really will be the minutes of this board. So it's worth inserting those. the county clerks keep some of those results, but I check back and they only go back about 20 years. So I think it's incumbent upon us to make sure we have a good record of our elections for future years so people want to go back. That's my report.
Other board members, Mr. Dreyfus, Clerk Dreyfus. You're already off mute.
Okay. So we're working on gearing up for the November election. Obviously, it's coming up pretty quickly, amazingly enough. It's only 5 weeks till the election begins. It's approximately September 24th is 40 days before the election. Currently in the news, there's quite a bit of buzz about the timelines for absentee ballots in terms of mailing and how the mail timeframes affect both the delivery of all election-related materials and how the post office is, of course, now giving guidance for the first time ever, actually making statements, and they're extending the delivery dates to now 7 to 10 days for this mail, which is unheard of, actually, in all the years I'm familiar with this. So that's interesting, and that information is going to go out to voters in terms of some educational materials to home TV and on our website to encourage voters to be aware of the timeframes involved in some of the mail-ins to make sure, which I was doing in the last election via email to make sure when people were sending in their applications close to the times where they couldn't be able to mail it back in time. Other aspects going on right now is we're dealing with election inspectors and making sure we have enough people to fill all the slots, as well as precinct chairs and co-chairs. That's a constant issue. And of course, in this election, it's continuing to have to try to fill all those slots on our election team. We are currently also starting early and stuffing envelopes. We're looking at right now, our permanent AV list is over 13,000. So we are beginning to stuff envelopes right now and getting things ready so that when the deluge of ballots come in that we're going to be able to put into the envelopes, we'll be able to be one step ahead and have them already stuffed with certain materials like the secrecy sleeve and instructions. We're also receiving, I'm still receiving, of course, absent voter applications are still coming in and requests to be on the absentee voter list. So we're doing basic voter processing, still dealing with voter registration issues. And finally, a big issue, of course, is the AV counting board, since the election is going to be, it was 83% was AV output in the August primary. 83%. That was the highest that I've seen of any statistic anywhere, including the city of Lansing and others, which were in the 70s. So we're going to estimate 80% plus for AV turnout in the November election. And so based on our projections, we need, as we mentioned before, we're going to need a larger space. So we are going to be doing the AV counting board in the town hall room. We're also going to have an additional entire unit of people to process. So we're going to have 3 teams now. And as a result, we have to relocate, just like we did for the Hazlitt polling locations that were closed because of construction for the August primary. We have to temporarily relocate precinct 6, which is our township hall precinct. And we got permission from Steve Cook, the Hazlitt superintendent, to do a temporary consolidation at the nearest and most efficient precinct to use, which would be Hazlitt High School. So voters in precinct 6 that go to the town hall room will be going to the Hazlitt High School gymnasium, along with precinct 3, which is now going to return to its normal location now that construction is complete. We are also going to be looking at another potential precinct temporary co-location. We've had issues with precinct 10, which is the service center, for many years now, for various reasons, ever since they put in offices back in like 2014, 2015, when they put in offices there was some difficulties, and we've had different issues coming at different times. So we're going to I'm going to reach out to Mr. Cook again and see if we can actually co-locate another precinct there as well. Hazlitt High School could accommodate 3 precincts, and that would be a logical location for that as well. That's the election update for the upcoming November election.
Thank you, sir. Other board members that have any reports or announcements? Trustee Opsmer.
Thank you, Supervisor Steichert. So the Green Preservation Advisory Board met, as Treasurer DeShane noted, last week on Wednesday. The big ticket item was the recommendation on the 7.9 acre acquisition on Namoki Trail that is before us tonight. Aside from that, we also discussed numerous projects that staff are exploring for us to get estimates and perhaps RFPs on, from elevated viewing decks on the preserves, as well as invasive species mitigation and tree planting, as we look to do additional conservation and stewardship activities in addition to the acquisitions. And then I would just note for members of the public that want to tune in, the CATA Board of Directors will be meeting on Wednesday at 4 p.m. via Zoom, and you can join us by visiting cata.org. And that's all.
Thank you. Another opportunity, any other board members? Anything? I don't see any hands or hear any. Okay, then we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion? Mr. Opsimer,
I move to approve the agenda.
seconded.
Support.
Who was that? Is that Ms. Jackson?
Yes.
You're frozen on your screen, so I believe I heard your voice. Yes. Okay. All those in favor of approving the agenda, well, we got to do a roll call. I forgot, virtual, got to do it.
Okay. Treasurer DeShane,
Yes.
Trustee Jackson,
Yes.
Trustee Opsimer,
Yes.
Trustee Sunland,
Yes.
Trustee Wazinski,
Yes.
Supervisor Stika.
Yes,
Clerk Dreyfus votes yes. The agenda is approved 7-0.
thank you very much. Now we move on to the consent agenda. And the consent agenda consists of 4 item categories or items. First is communications, acceptance of those. Second is the minutes of the August 6th virtual regular meeting. The third are the bills. And the fourth is to set the date for the 2021 township budget hearing. Mr. DeShane,
I move to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
word of Mr. Opsimer. Is there any need to pull off anything or discuss the minutes at all? All right, then we need a roll call vote on the consent agenda.
Trustee Jackson,
Yes.
Trustee Opsimer,
Yes.
Trustee Sunland,
Yes.
Trustee Wazinski,
Yes.
Treasurer DeShane.
Yes.
Clerk Dreyfus votes yes. Supervisor Stika.
Yes,
Consent agenda passes 7-0.
and I would point out, thank you, and I would point out that budget hearing will be via Zoom on September 15th. It'll be via Zoom on September 15th. Thank you. All right, we have no questions for attorney today. We have no hearings. So we're going to move on to our action items. And the first one is number 12A, rezone 20010 Ho-Cho, 5654 Oak Road from RR rural residential to RAA single family low density. Is there a motion? Trustee Absalom.
I move to adopt the resolution to deny rezoning number 20010 to rezone 4.67 acres located at 5654 Okemos Road from rural residential to RAA single family low density.
Support for that motion.
Support.
Supported by Treasurer. Okay, Mr. Opsimer, I know we discussed this at our last meeting and had a consensus, but anything you want to add or bring up?
I would just reiterate for the public at home, obviously the site has some potential wetlands along the frontage. Part of the objective here of the rezoning was to create a 2-home frontage at this current address by breaking the parcel into 2. There would be a number of complicating factors to that, and it didn't fit with the rural residential zoning that surrounded it on all 4 sides. So I think we're making the right decision to follow the future land use map in this instance. But we appreciate the applicant coming forward and having this conversation with the township.
Anyone else? I would mention that it's consistent with the denial of the planning commission as well. And as you said, Mr. Osmer, the applicant did appear and did have a conversation with us, but we appeared to have a strong consensus at the time against it. Anyone else? If not, we'll take a vote, Mr. Clerk.
Trustee Optimer,
Yes.
trustee Sunland,
Yes.
trustee Wazinski,
Yes.
supervisor Stika,
Yes,
clerk Dreyfus votes yes. Treasurer DeShane,
Yes.
trustee Jackson.
Yes.
The denial of the rezoning passes 7-0.
thank you, sir. We're now moving on to B, which is the rezoning number 20030 Planning Commission, 5937 Potter Street, C1 Commercial 2, RN Mixed Residential. Ms. Jackson,
I move to adopt the resolution to approve for introduction rezoning number 20030 to rezone 0.10 acre located at 5937 Potter Street from C1 Commercial to RN Mixed Residential.
there's support for that,
Support.
supported by Clerk Dreyfus. Ms. Jackson, would you like to comment on it?
In our last discussion, we learned that this particular property was a part of several similar properties that were rezoned, I believe in, I don't know what year, but, and the property, this property has changed hands. These current owners would like to join the others in the rezoning, and this rezoning was initiated by the Planning Commission. So I am in full support of the request to rezone.
Anyone else want to comment on this? Trustee Opser.
Yeah, I just briefly wanted to thank Director Gieselbach and Principal Planner Menzer again and the Planning Commission for making this a township initiated rezoning, even though I know it was the new homeowner that had really pursued it, but the prior landowner, having kept the commercial zoning as part of a real estate speculation for the possible sale to one of the adjacent businesses, made sense, but it's cost prohibitive to compel the new owner to pay those fees when this is really a property that we want to incentivize redevelopment and investment in. So I appreciate that thoughtful approach to it, and thank you.
Agreed. Anyone else? Okay, I guess we're ready to vote on this one, Clerk Dreyfus.
Trustee Sunland,
Yes.
trustee Wazinski,
Yes.
supervisor Stika,
Yes,
clerk Dreyfus votes yes. Treasurer DeShane,
Yes.
trustee Jackson,
Yes.
trustee Optimer.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
thank you very much. Now moving on to 12C, which is the special use permit number 19191, Peace Innovations, Medical Marijuana Provisioning Center on Northwind Drive. Looking for a motion? Trustee Opsimer.
I move to adopt a resolution approving special use permit number 19191 to construct a commercial medical marijuana provisioning center on an undeveloped parcel ID number 20-127-003, located on the east side of Northwind Drive, south of Grand River Avenue.
Support.
Okay, now supported by Ms. Lewinsky. Mr. Opsimer, you want to comment on this?
Yeah, so this is obviously in the overlay district over by Dawn Avenue and Northwind Drive. The parcel fronts on Northwind Drive, but it's adjacent to the old industrial zoning district there. It's a parcel that is sat vacant and undeveloped, I believe in perpetuity, because it does not have an address number, and based on my conversations with staff regarding this property. So it was a pretty ideal parcel to win the lottery from a standpoint that it's not displacing any business and is developing what is currently an undeveloped site and bringing it to a higher and better use. And we're going to continue to see redevelopment in this area with Ellison Brewing and all the other businesses going in one street over on Dawn Avenue. So I appreciate Green Peak's investment. And would just also note that I believe 3 or 4 of their partners are residents here in Meridian Township. Thank you.
And for the public who don't understand, when you say win the lottery, we of course are talking about, we had a number of applicants for this location. One of the places we said you could place a medical marijuana establishment, and a number of applicants, and then through a lottery, someone won, and it's this applicant. Okay, anyone else have a comment or concern? Mr. DeShane.
Thank you. Of all of our overlay districts, I think this is the one that I preferred the most. And I also like this project because it is a new development. We've been promised that these facilities will be state-of-the-art, secure, well-lit, odor-proof. We've been promised a lot, and starting from new construction, they should be able to deliver in this case. And it is the right location, near Dawn Avenue, near campus. So we'll support this, and I look forward to seeing what is developed there, and hopefully it meets all the promises that have been made by applicants. That's all. Thank you.
Other board members? All right, I guess we're ready to vote on this one then. Clerk Dreyfus?
Trustee Wazinski,
Yes.
Supervisor Stika,
Yes.
Clerk Dreyfus votes yes. Treasurer DeShane,
Yes.
Trustee Jackson,
Yes.
Trustee Opsimer,
Yes.
Trustee Sunland.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Action number 12D, rezoning number 20040 from Michigan Baptist Convention, 4606 Hagedorn Road, from rural residential to PO professional office. Mr. DeShane.
I move to adopt a resolution to approve the introduction parcel number 20040 to rezone 4.999 acres located at 4606 Hagedorn Road from RR rural residential to PO professional and office.
Support.
Supported by Ms. Wazinski. Mr. DeShane, comments?
Yes, this came to us last year in the form of a proposal tied to a new development that many of us thought was in essence, a student housing project. We didn't like the project, but we did like the rezoning. This is a very good parcel. It should be redeveloped. RR doesn't fit this parcel. PO professional office fits it much better. For those reasons, I'm glad the two got separated, and anxious to see what proposals come forward. And so I'll be supporting this motion, of course.
I would concur. I think the first proposal for residential was something that we were concerned with, but it makes sense for the professional office in this space. And I also support.
Anyone have other comments? Any negative? All right, I guess we're ready to vote, Mr. Clerk.
Supervisor Stika,
Yes.
Clerk Dreyfus votes yes. Treasurer DeShane,
Yes.
Trustee Jackson,
Yes.
Trustee Opsimer,
Yes.
Trustee Sun,
Yes.
Trustee Wazinski.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you very much. We're now moving on to item E, which is the firefighter. Well, we got a lot of those today. Firefighter candidate sponsorship. Can I get a motion? I see Ms. Jackson's hand.
I move to support the fire department's sponsorship of paramedics to attend the fire academy, providing wages and tuition to qualified candidates.
Is someone second?
Support.
Well, actually, I saw Ms. Sunderland's hand just before you said it, Mr. Officer.
Sure.
All right, do you want to comment, Ms. Jack? Well, first, let's have a quick description of this from our fire chief. I think it's important we hear about it.
I would
Thank you,
appreciate.
Supervisor. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Supervisor Stike and board members. So, over the last year, we've been really working hard trying to figure out different ways to attract people and get seats filled. Currently, we have 4 vacancies. This is not uncommon across the state right now, trying to hire paramedics. So one of the things we came up with about a year ago is we hired a young lady named Kelsey and supported her through the Ingham County Fire Chiefs Fire Academy. And she worked as a part-time employee, just as a medic. With this particular situation, what we were going to do is actually sponsor an individual. And we have a really good one candidate right now. Her name is Angela Coles, just like the department store as Coles, to LCC's Fire Academy. It's very similar to what Chief Plaga does with the police academy at LCC, where we pay for their tuition and we pay them a wage while they're there. The nice thing about this one is Angela is an instructor at LCC in their paramedic program. She's been a paramedic for 10 years. And so virtually the cost of the program is going to be about $1,000 instead of between $5,000 and $6,000. She gets all the credits for free. And then what we are going to require is a 1-year commitment because of the cost of the course. Normally, if we pay full tuition, just like Chief Plaga does, we're going to request a 3-year commitment. So this academy will end right around Thanksgiving, and the goal would be to have her fill a spot December 1st.
Wow.
Anyone have, Ms. Jackson, you made the motion. Anything you want to add to that, or?
I'd actually like to ask a question or two.
Absolutely.
Chief Hamill, so
Yes, ma'am.
what proportion of your fire department is paramedic firefighters versus paramedics alone or firefighters alone?
Well, currently all of our 28 members of the 32 are paramedic firefighters.
Okay.
We
And
are working on a process yet to come, working with the union to work on a process to hire EMT firefighters and actually send them to paramedic school. That's a whole nother discussion in the future.
I see. Okay. Thank you. That certainly helps clarify to me how the program is working. I think that it is a very positive plan for bringing more people to the department, and I fully support our efforts to contribute to the training and hold the trainees to, or the resulting paramedic firefighters to a 1-year commitment to the township. And I think this is a good way to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board members, questions, concerns? I have a question. Approximately what's the cost involved here? What are we talking about? Tuition and wages?
So if we had to pay full tuition, it's between $5,000 and $6,000 for the fire academy. For this particular case, because she gets the credits for free, I think it's 17 or 18 credits. All we're paying for is lab fees, which is a little over $1,000. I think it's about $1,060. A little bit of uniform cost, about $200. And then we're paying her a wage of, I think it's $13.75, same as what they pay the police officers to go to the police academy. It's going to cost about between $7,000 and $10,000 in part-time salary, part-time hourly.
Thank you very much. Mr. DeShane, you had your hand up.
Yes. Chief, I want to thank you for bringing this program to us. It's an excellent way to recruit new firefighters, just as our program that Chief Plaga brought to us. It's interesting, her last name is Coles. It echoes back to the candidate that Chief Plaga and Manager Walsh brought to us a couple of years ago, the loss prevention individual from Coles that came to us and has turned out to be an excellent officer for us. And so we've heard many times, both you and Chief Plaga talk about the difficulty in recruiting good firefighters and police officers. And so it appears to we found a bit of a solution here. It requires an upfront investment. But it does two things for us. It helps, I think, balance the age differential in our law enforcement and in the township as well, that we get more younger people in the township, which is certainly our goal, to have young professionals here. So thanks for bringing this to us. Keep up the good work.
Dreyfus.
I didn't, our recording secretary, was not feeling well, so she's not doing, taking that, and I didn't catch the support for this motion.
Oh, it was Wazinski, was it not?
I think it was Sunland, but.
Oh, what? Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I came close. Anything else from anyone?
Yeah. I just wanted to comment that I do like the approach where the township is being proactive with the fire academy as well as the police academy. So both our public safety units are actively looking for qualified candidates, and then we're able to put our money where our mouth is to help make it a possibility for these candidates to actually attain these goals. So I think it's a real win for the community, for our public safety, and for individuals, give them an opportunity who really want to be a part of the public safety team.
Good. All right, I see no other person with a hand up, so it's time for us to vote.
Clerk Dreyfus votes yes. Treasurer DeShane.
Yes.
Trustee Jackson.
Yes.
Trustee Opsimer.
Yes.
Trustee Sunland.
Yes.
Trustee Wazinski.
Yes.
Supervisor Stika.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
We're now moving on to 12F, Land Conservation Advisory Board recommendation for the Ingham County tax foreclosure, property 33-02-02-15-100-010. Dreyfus.
I move to support the recommendation from the Land Preservation Advisory Board to acquire parcel number 33-02-02-15-100-010, a 7.97 acre property that is adjacent to the Namoki Land Preserve.
Support.
Supported by Ms. Jackson. Let's have our Parks and Recreation Director, Luann Meisner, tell us about it before we get to comments. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the Land Preservation Advisory Board has an opportunity here to acquire nearly an 8-acre parcel that's adjacent to an existing land preserve as well as adjacent to Nancy Moore Park. Helps with our connectivity. I know that they had reviewed this property a few years back because it was up for tax sale previously. And they did find that it was, there was some valuable assets for the land preservation program on this property, and they strongly support trying to acquire it this time around.
Now, our motion maker.
What she said.
Oh, okay. Very good, Mr. Dreyfus. Mr. Opser, you had your hand?
Yeah, just simply, I mean, as Director Meisner pointed out, it's a no-brainer acquisition because we can get it for $2,000. So the acquisition per acre is astoundingly low, and it's adjacent via the railroad tracks anyway, or the public right-of-way for the railroad tracks to an existing preserve back there behind the old L&L shopping center. So.
First, Treasurer DeShane, then Clerk Dreyfus.
This is on our action discussion and did not go on our discussion agenda because there simply wasn't time. You'll see in the second page of the letter from Property Tax Forfeiture Coordinator that they wanted a response by yesterday. I informed them that we were not going to meet until today, but the Land Preservation Board had met and approved it. So they're not going to add this one to the auction list. The other thing I wanted to point out, that third page of our document, which shows the Namoki property and then two other parcels, one off of Meridian Road and one off of Hatch Road. This speaks well to our township property values and the ways that our owners do pay their taxes and keep their properties up. This is a typical year. We don't typically have many properties at all that go to foreclosure. The two that are left The one off of Meridian Road near Sherbrooke is a really odd property, several hundred feet long and about 6 feet wide. It's really undevelopable. And the one on Hatch, you can almost throw a stone from my house to it. It's in sort of an island that backs up on 5 different homes, and it's a really odd parcel as well. So what will become of those is unknown, but the one valuable property is the one the board is about to act on now. Remotely, it's really exciting. This connects a park to a existing land preservation. So this is exciting that we're getting this at such a bargain as well.
I want to mention, oh yeah, Mr. Dreyfus, you were next. Yeah.
I wanted to say that when we had the discussion on the millage for the land preservation program itself, we had a healthy discussion on the initial millage rate of 0.75, the history of all the millages, that it was reduced to 0.33, and then we were discussing, you know, what we should do, and then eventually it was proposed and the board voted to accept the 0.10, and we discussed the acquisition rates and how the focus changed to maintenance and things like that. This is a prime example that we do have to have money reserves for great opportunities that can come along. Now, this is a great price. Everybody agrees that this is, you know, just basically giving it away for free, basically. There may be other properties like this that can happen in the future where there isn't such a cheap price tag, but it's an amazing property at a great price. So we may get something in the future, you never know, still that might be of prime significance. And that's why I always advocate that we should still make sure that we have enough funds to be able to acquire land, even though we exceeded the initial goals. It doesn't mean that we can't keep adding to our inventory and keep expanding out those sensitive ecological lands. So I'm very excited whenever we get something like this. It really is the type of sustainability that's going to last for hopefully an indefinite period of time, decades and decades and decades to come. Permanently is the goal, of course.
Thank you. I was just remembering that when we had that discussion, as you pointed out, there seemed to be sufficient funds for some good purchases in the future. Ms. Maisner, you want to comment on that?
Absolutely. Yeah, I believe we have a little over $4 million in reserves currently. So we are positioned to acquire additional lands when they become available.
Thank you. The other thing I wanted to do is thank Mr. Schertzing, the county treasurer, and his staff, Mr. Fox. They've been very helpful over the years in terms of bringing these kinds of lands to our attention and helping us where possible to acquire them. Thank you. Anyone else? All right, we're ready to vote. Clerk Dreyfus.
Yep. Treasurer DeShane.
Yes.
Trustee Jackson.
Yes.
Trustee Opsimer.
Yes.
Trustee Sunland.
Yes.
Trustee Wazinski.
Yes.
Supervisor Stika.
Yes.
And Clerk Dreyfus votes yes. The motion passes unanimously 7-0.
Thank you. Last item is I'm asking for approval of my appointment to the Planning Commission of Mr. Mark Bloomer, who is actually here, in case you have any questions or comments, and I would look for a motion. Mr. DeShane.
I move to approve the appointment made by Supervisor Stika of Mark Bloomer, the Planning Commission for a term ending 12/31/2021.
Is there support?
Support.
Supported by Ms. Jackson. Right. I will comment that I've known Mr. Bloomer for a good number of years. He hasn't been for a while, but we were assistant attorneys general for a number of years, and he most recently was the individual who would try some of our civil matters from the township, and always did a very good job. I'm recommending or appointing him because his legal background, his abilities in terms of analysis and following the law and understanding what the rules are, et cetera, and how to apply them to given situations, I think will be of great benefit to the Planning Commission, as well as his general knowledge and expertise, and just as an attorney and as an individual. Anyone else have anything they want to say or ask Mr. Bloomer? He is here. If not, I'll ask Mr. Bloomer if he wants to make any comments. You're muted right now, Mr. Bloomer. Oh, no, you're still muted. I think maybe Mr. Geeves has got you muted. I don't know.
We'll see if we can get corrected here, sir.
There we go. Oh, no, okay, that was Steve. We're still, Mark, you're still muted. You're bouncing in and out. I don't know why, Mark, but you're not in there. We're not hearing you.
Hey, Brian, can you hear me?
Well, I
I've
think,
never seen anybody behave that way, but there it looks like you got it, sir.
I
well,
was,
we finally got you, Mark. Go ahead.
you get me now? Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'd just like to thank everybody for consideration here. As Ron indicated, I've known Ron for many, many years. We were in the Attorney General's office together. I recently retired. The Attorney General called me back to the Attorney General's department to run the newly reorganized Criminal Prosecution Division, but I left that position fairly quickly when the coronavirus broke out because my wife and I are both in a vulnerable category, and 60% of the division they wanted me to run was in the largest office building in the city of Detroit. So I was just worried about bringing something home that I really didn't want to carry with me. So I retired from the Attorney General's office, and then I contacted Ron and said, find something to keep me occupied because I'm going nuts here. And he said, okay, be careful what you wish for, and put my name in for this position. So I appreciate your consideration from all of you. Thank you.
Any questions, concerns, comments? All right, then we need a vote.
Trustee Jackson,
Pat, you look like your screen is frozen. Raise your hand if you say yes. We can't see it.
okay, I'll come back to her.
Okay,
Trustee Opsimer,
Yes.
trustee Sunland,
Yes.
trustee Wazinski,
Yes.
supervisor Stika,
yes,
clerk Dreyfus votes yes, treasurer DeShane,
Yes.
and Pat Jackson, trustee Jackson. I saw you raise your hand.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. That the appointment to the planning commission passes 7-0.
thank you very much. Welcome, Mr. Bloomer. You'll have to get sworn in now by the clerk's office. Only this minute, obviously. I mean, that's your next step. Okay, at this point, we don't have any discussion items tonight, which is
Wow, that's amazing.
set a record here for how short this hearing is, or this meeting. The matter that we thought would be on, the applicant needed another couple weeks, so it won't be on until the next meeting. And we've run out of items. All right, then we'll go to comments from the public. Are there any public out there, Mr. Geeves, who want to talk at this point?
There are a few people in the attendee area. If they wish to speak or address the board at this time, they can, of course, raise their hand inside the Zoom interface and we'll enable them to speak. Or, of course, the telephone number is still 517-349-1232. One last time, that telephone number, 517-349-1232. I am seeing no hands and I'm hearing no phones ring.
All right, I'll stall a little bit in case somebody's dialing slowly. Okay, well, I guess we're ready to go on to other matters from the board members. Do other board members have matters? Mr. DeShane?
I think the news that we got today that there will be no MSU students on campus this fall is really big news. And it's going to, of course, affect East Lansing. It's going to affect Meridian Township. It's going to affect us all. And I think we need to be really aware of that as we approve the budget and as we look at decisions moving into the fall and winter. We're still in the midst of this pandemic. We, you know, as much as wishful thinking might want us to think we're through it and we're on our way on the easy path, we don't know that yet. We are still looking at very uncertain times. And as a board, we need to be very cautious with our reserves, cautious with our spending. And I would call on the township manager, if he would, who is very well connected to this community in countless ways, as we all are. But I think the township manager makes it his business to stay connected to lots of different institutions to keep us abreast and keep us aware of trends that he sees, because they're important. We need to be careful, even more careful and more deliberative in our decisions, because this is really big news. This is 30 to 40,000 students that will not return to our community this fall. That's a lot of commerce for the Meridian Mall, a lot of commerce for our businesses. It's huge. And we need to, each meeting, I think, check in on this and see where we're at and stay close to our Economic Development Corporation and MOB and other groups like that. And hopefully we'll have a new director of economic development and maybe neighborhoods as well in the near future. But we haven't ever seen a pandemic before. None of us have. And it's affecting us in profound ways. And to me, the most profound one is going to be the absence of MSU students in our community this fall. So let's all be aware of that and be mindful of it in all of the decisions we make moving forward.
Yeah, I would echo that, and the public may not always realize it, but of those 40,000 or so MSU students, 6,000 or 7,000 end up living in Meridian Township. The question is whether any or some, maybe most, if not all of them, won't be here in those apartments. In addition to that, of course, whether they live in Meridian or in East Lansing or other areas, they frequent our businesses, as Mr. Duchesne just mentioned. And it's going to have a huge economic impact on our township. And also, more of the staff of MSU lives in Meridian Township than any other community, including East Lansing. So this could be very impactful. So, and I know Mr. Walsh was on top of it. He advised us all today that he'd heard from President Stanley, and he told us even before it was out in the media that this was going to be happening. Okay. Anyone else have any final comments? If not, I guess we're ready to adjourn at a record time.
The manager would like to speak.
I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you very much. And I really appreciate the comments that were made about the effect at MSU, the lack of students coming this fall is going to have not only on our economy, but the students themselves and their families as well. It's a huge hurdle for all of us to get over. I just want to make a comment about Magistrate Bloomer. If I attended some of our hearings in front of him when we had some code enforcement issues and all that, and I'll tell you what, he was very well prepared. And it's refreshing to see this appointment. Thank you, Supervisor Stika, for bringing him forward, because the way he prepares for the hearings that he held that we were at, I look forward to his participation with our planning commission. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Then I guess we're ready for that motion to adjourn.
I will move to adjourn.
Thank you,
Second.
Trustee Osmer.
Support.
Supported by Trustee Wazinski. All those in favor say aye. Raise your hand in front of the screen. All right, I see all the hands. All right, 7-0. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Everyone.
Thanks again, Ron.
Thank you. Oh, Mark, don't be misled. This was an unusually short meeting. They're usually very much longer than this.